on Grown Folks Talking, Express Yourself Internet Radio via the Huddle Team app. We meet every Sunday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. We discuss local, national, and global events that impact the material conditions of the people and provide viable solutions. We are here to find those tired of the way their lives are socially constructed. As Panthers, we use dialectic materialism. As Dr. Huey P. Newton stated, power is the ability to define phenomena and make it act in a desired manner. From combating the housing crisis to police patrols, we are the vanguard in place to serve our communities. The purpose of this program is to highlight contradictions in the electoral process, which Western culture calls politics. Politics is the struggle for resources. Participating in America's electoral process has only taken resources from the people and handed it to the oligarchs and the professional managerial class that serve them by maintaining the status quo through coercion. We know that power lies with the people, and it is our duty to organize and educate the community so that they can fight for their own liberation. So please, join us every Sunday at 12 p.m. You can join by downloading the Huddle Team app, join online, or call in. The app and joining online is free, but if you call in, standard messaging rates may apply. Links to the show will be provided in the caption. This is General Secretary Patience of the new African Black Panther Party, NABPP North. All power to the people.
Good. And the next round is already in the next round. Just wait for that stuff. You know, who's waiting for the ball? You need to stay in the top row. Turn this way. Turn.
A party that gardens together stays together. This is the People's Garden. We are setting up. From help of our good friend, Sergio, part of the United Panther Movement. The United Panther Movement are those who believe in our 10-point program, which is basically providing services to the community. Free breakfast program, free food program, free health clinic, pig patrols, and we have programs for the kids, after-school programs, summer camps. We do all of this because we understand the importance and the needs of the people. So we're planning the community garden. This is the garden for the people. But we need help. We need help from you guys. So join the United Panther Movement. To learn more, contact General Secretary Patience at 862-283-9917 or email patiencerow@yahoo.com. That is in PATIENCEROW@yahoo.com. To help support the work we do, please send donations to Cash App, $ I live for the people, or Venmo/Zelle at phone number 860 223-283-9917. This is General Secretary Patience of the New African Black Panther Party, NAB, PP North. All power to the people.
How you doing there, brother?
Hey, brother, I'm good. I'm good. I'm blessed to be talking with you today. How are you?
You hanging in there. Hey, man, the brother is joining us. He's in the hospital right now. I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about it, say why you in there, but but the brother's in the hospital, so he cheating already and stuff. He in the hospital, you already gonna get the sympathy and stuff. But I see how you coming though. I should have came with a neck brace or something, with a cocaine. You. Hold up. I see. Yo, you in the emergency room. You already trying to. But look, I don't know. Do you want to tell the people why you in there?
Hey, big brother, I appreciate you. I mentioned that the other day on purpose because I don't control the environment here. So there's a roommate I have who's listening to in his zone. There's nurses and all type of confusion that goes on sometimes in these institutions. So I wanted you and your public, your audience, to be clear that when you hear those sounds or whatever, note that I'm in a hospital, so I don't control that. It was for more information purposes, but I suffered an injury on election night, ironically. Very, very excited about the way the election was moving and injured myself. So I've been recovering from that injury, and I'll just keep it there.
All power to the people. You heard yourself celebrating that win. I could dig it. I could dig it. Hey, but welcome to All Power to the People podcast. Today we got the brother that's on the screen with me right now. We're gonna have an ideological struggle. His name is Bernard W. Clark Jr., BFF Club, New Jersey president. So he's gonna be here. We're gonna have an ideological struggle between capitalism, socialism, and communism. So this space, I say this every week when we come here. This is a place for organizing. We care about what's going on in the community, and we want to find ways to change the conditions in our community. That's the only reason why we are here. We are not here to collect money, to get subs, to get viewers, or to entertain anybody. Entertainment comes by just learning about our reality and our culture and our history. And it's almost impossible not to be entertained by learning. So every day when you come here, every week when we come here, we read something or we don't read. We listen to the audio. We started off at first, we listened to The Miseducation of a Negro by Carter G. Woodson. Today we are going through quotations from Chairman Mao, because we was talking about the Red Book when they said they were going to shut TikTok down, and everybody was switching over to this other app. The app was named Red Note or Red Book. So we started talking about what is the Red Book, what's in the Red Book, what is the Red Book about? Because everybody think they know, but most people don't even do the work to go read, open up the pages, and understand the content in there. So before we start, are you familiar with the Red Book?
I am familiar with the Red Book, yes.
So you want to give me a little synopsis? You want to say anything about it before we start? Because we're on chapter 3 so far. So you're getting in on chapter 3. We do one chapter every week.
Well, my history with the Red Book, I was a part of a Panther-esque style organization back in the 90s when I was graduating from Rutgers University, with a degree in English and African history. Yeah, it was a bourgeois degree. And, so when I started organizing with, Raz Baraka and Black Neoforce, which meant, racial, organization for, racial and cultural enlightenment, Freedom Organization for Racial and Cultural Enlightenment. That was the acronym for it. We read many texts on, socialism, and communism. We engaged, various revolutionaries like, Fidel and Mao, specifically the Red Book, especially since the Panthers were very, very instrumental. Huey, gathered the Red Book, and they started selling it on campuses when they were organizing the original branch of the Panthers. And the Red Book was utilized to purchase firearms. And we know the history. But a lot of Mao's teachings in terms of Maoism. When we talk about Maoism, you got to first begin with Marx and Marxism and traditional Marxism, and then its evolution. Lenin picked up on Marx and in analyzing the conditions of the people of Russia, which were different from that Manchester community that Marx used in his analysis, historical materialism. Mao looked at he had a different way of because the struggle advances, it develops. Capitalism advanced. So as capitalism advances, a new analysis is needed and necessary. So when you look at Mao and how Maoism, being a development, a higher stage of development than where Marx and Lenin was, the Red Book deals with the development of struggle, this concept, this struggle for to evaluate the conditions of our people or people in general, depending on where you are, putting together the science of revolution based off of the conditions of the people you're dealing with on the ground. So a lot of the Red Book deals with those revolutionary principles, like investigation before you speak, no right to speak, no research, no right to speak, power being derived from the barrel of a gun, which a lot of revolutionaries focused on, going to Fanon, because I used to be a Fanonite. So when you're talking about, revolutionary struggle in the perspective of someone like Mao and the Red Book and the use of the Red Book, most revolutionaries will put out, pamphlets or some type of, publication to solidify their theory. Because I'm into the building of theory. And when we're talking about the development of theory, I'm from the school of Amilcar Cabral. Weapon, the theory is the weapon. So once you solidify theory, and now you have an operating principle, and that's what the Red Book gave the Chinese. It gave them an operating text to now organize from, so that the people are on the same page as the vanguard party, so to speak, which is another abridgment of Marxism versus Leninism and subsequently Maoism. Where traditional Marxists believe that it is going to be the spontaneous combustion of the people that leads the revolution, whereas Lenin and Mao believe in the vanguard party. Which Huey also picked up off, that vanguard party being the catalyst towards building that understanding amongst the people, and then leading. So those two schools of thought, I just happen to be a traditionalist.
All power to the people. All power to the people. Hey, look, this is what ideological struggle is about, having this kind of conversation. But that was beautifully said, man. That was well put. Look, we're about to go into it, and then we're going to go into more of the ideological struggle, whatever debate, however when you qualify it. Okay, so this is chapter 3. Let me bring it back. This is chapter 3 right here. I'm gonna stop it every couple of minutes so we can have a discussion on what we're talking about. Now, once again, this is the Red Book by Chairman Mao, chapter 3. Chapter 3 is the crazy part is, if you didn't come here today, we were still doing this chapter. You know what this chapter is called?
What's it called?
Capitalism and communism.
No, socialism, communism.
There's varying there's varying abridgments to the text. That's why, when you say the Red Book, there were varying publications that had different prefaces, and I spent a lot of time going through those varying realities. But it's ironic because both of them are European systems. Socialism, communism, capitalism are all European systems, and we could talk about, that's why I call myself a black liberation, theologist. A lot of what happened in the European world came out of Africa first. You know what I'm saying? So when you talk to somebody like, well, God rest his soul, Dr. John Henrik Clarke, when your analysis is springing from the sand of your oppressor, it's all going to be reactionary in the end. You know what I'm saying? Which is where the difficulty in terms of building ideology comes out of. You know what I'm saying? So if we're really clear on what that reality is, even the Panthers, when they reach that higher late stage of development, and organizations like Neoforce that tried to focus on the acquisition of political power, at the end of the day, even the Panthers got to the point where it was about the organizing of political and community power. You know what I'm saying? And some organizers, when they are seeking political power and when they've achieved that goal and they now have control of a whole city, like, you got control of the city, you got control of the...
Yo, don't go too far. Don't go too far. We ain't get there yet.
Okay.
Yo,
go ahead, big brother.
Don't get to all of that. Yo, the reason why we're having this conversation is to deal with the conditions on the ground, how people are living outside. Like, that's why we're here. So we're going to get to all of that, believe you me. I mean, it's going to be all part of this. You said something just now, because people often say that Marxism, communism, all of this are European ideologies. That you just said that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. But then you said all of this stuff is stolen from Africa, right?
Yes.
All right, so your cooperative living, communal living as a community, the people working together to survive. All of this started in Africa. It didn't start in Europe. The idea of people coming together to work together in their community to survive, to be able to sustain themselves, is as old as us evolving as human beings. Capitalism is a new phenomenon. What you call it? Marxism, Maoist, Leninist, all of these are interpretation of a new phenomenon that just came only a couple of 100 years ago on how to deal with that phenomenon. I mean, but that doesn't mean that communal living, the way as Panthers, we're striving to live in a socialist community where we all see. I'm going too far because it's going to be in the text we're about to listen to. We strive to live in a communal environment where every single person in there, benefits from the productions of that community. I mean, that's what we strive towards. It is not a European phenomenon. As human beings, we progress and we learn as humanity how to deal with certain phenomena. Marxism just came out of Europe, out of Marx. He was from Germany. All people really don't understand where most of these ideas came from, where these people came from, or like that that you could even say Hitler was a socialist. You could people don't understand how deep all these theories, all these philosophies, where they come from, and sometimes they just spout whatever they see on YouTube, wherever they see on the publication or on propaganda network that's saying they're speaking for the people, and they don't really know where all these ideas came from. But like you said, these ideas originated from the continent. This is nothing new. Nothing. Just like I said that the title of this chapter is socialism, capitalism, whatever the title is, and we're talking about that right now. Because these issues are still going on right now. None of this is new. Somebody 100 years from now is listening to this. We didn't come up with these ideas. Africa didn't. You didn't come up with it. It was people before us that wrote this. That's how people build upon history and then go on from generation to generation to try to survive in this world that we find ourselves in. But I'm going to go to it, or we're going to be here talking forever. Let me play real quick.
All right.
Led by General Secretary Patience of the New African Black Panther Party.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I heard Patience talking.
She's what you call it? She's reading it. She's narrating it.
Okay. I'm listening. I can hear her.
Is it clear enough?
Yes, she was clear.
Okay, I'm about to play it.
NAB, People North. Chapter 3, Socialism and Communism. Communism is at once a complete system of proletarian ideology and a social system. It is different from any other ideological and social system, and is the most complete, progressive, revolutionary, and rational system in human history. The ideological and social system of feudalism has a place only in the Museum of History. The ideological and social system of capitalism has also become a museum piece in one part of the world, in the Soviet Union, while in other countries it resembles a dying person who is sinking fast, like the sun setting beyond the western hills, and will soon be relegated to the museum. The communist ideological and social system alone is full of youth and vitality, sweeping the world with the momentum of an avalanche and the force of a thunderbolt. The socialist.
All right, that was on New Democracy, January 1940, Selected Works, Volume 2, page 360,
In Africa.
61. Yes.
The Basil, she needs to read it louder. It's not coming in real clear.
Got
Okay?
you.
All right.
Secretary General, come see if you can make the volume louder. All right, while she try to fix that. No, because this is important. This is what I want to talk about first with our brother that's on here. It says communism is at once a complete system of proletarian ideology and a new social system. It is different from any other ideological and social system, and is the most complete, progressive, revolutionary, and rational system in human history. The ideological and social system of feudalism has a place only in the Museum of History. The ideological and social system of capitalism has also become a museum piece in one part of the world, the Soviet Union, while in other countries it resembles a dying person who is sinking fast, like the sun setting beyond the western hills, and will soon be relegated to the museum. The communist ideological and social system alone is full of youth and vitality, sweeping the world with the momentum of an avalanche and the force of a thunderbolt. Now this is where we gonna have I want to have a conversation with the brother about. Let me get to it real quick. Let me get to this real quick right here, because we gotta have our definitions straight if we gonna have this conversation. Brother, you there, brother?
Yeah, I'm here, and I agree with you. You know, definitions are important.
Right. Look at the screen. You see what it says for capitalism?
Well, you got to read it for me. I can't really see the screen. I'm on the phone.
I got you. An economic system. This is capitalism. An economic system in which resources and means of production are privately owned, and prices, production, and distribution of goods are determined mainly by competition in free markets. You agree with the definition?
Yes.
All right.
I don't agree with capitalism, though. I agree with that definition.
Got you. How you going to take it for capitalism you don't agree with, though?
I'm not taking it for capitalism. That's the whole, when this discussion was framed, Patience gave me that, that information.
Yeah.
Now, as a revolutionary theologist, I don't buy into either of those systems. That's what I'm trying to purport.
Okay, no, we cool. Let's not go too far, because I don't want you to jump the gun, because we're gonna have all this whole conversation. Yeah. So so like you cool with the capitalist definition, and then the communism definition is a system which goods are owned in common and are available to all as needed. A theory advocating elimination of private property. A doctrine based on revolutionary Marxism, socialism, Marxism, Leninism, that was the official ideology of the Soviet Union. He's going on to say the same thing, but by and large, it's saying instead of having private rich people control the economy, control the means of production, these things are in the hands of the people. The people control it democratically. So as Panthers, this is what we believe. Now, Mr. Go ahead. You got something to say?
Yeah, I want to, well, first, I remember, and I did review that text in preparation for this discussion. And, some of the questions that that arose for me, we are looking at, Mao Zedong and how Mao analyzed, the conditions in China. And I thought, where the Chinese were concerned, I thought that was a very bold claim, to make, when Mao, said that, communism is he said it's the most complete, progressive, revolutionary, rational system in all of human history. Now, we're also talking about, Mansa Musa. We're talking about Shaka. We're talking about, the African diaspora, which was the bedrock of these ideologies. So to make the claim, it almost felt, like, what Trump would say, this is the greatest effort ever, so the hubris of it, fundamentally, and then don't get me wrong, Mao led the Chinese Revolution, so we're talking about a successful proletarian struggle, and proletarian, my definition is more the working class. So when you're using Marxist terminology, when we're talking about the proletariat, we're talking about the workers. These are the people who get up every day and go on the factory line, and they're, hammering and working towards the acquisition of greater capital, which always goes into the hands of the ownership class. I'm against the ownership class. That's why I'm against private property. Because it's that ownership class and the clash between the proletarian and the proletariat and the bourgeoisie, or the work, or the owners of the means of production. That clash is inevitable. When you have a system of exploitation. But for black people specifically, you got to look at, like one of my guiding texts, Manny Marble. How capitalism underdeveloped Black America. See, Black America is underdeveloping socially, so we've lost our moral edge. There was a time when Black people, we were like the Uncle Tom imagery that Beecher Stowe gave us. Uncle Tom was like a devout Christian. You know what I'm saying? And to say that Christianity isn't the efficacy of Christianity within the context of revolution. Castro himself even conceded that point, whereas I disagree with Marx on that, where Marx believed that, religion was the opiate of the people, which, hasn't been navigated, since, scholars like Feuerbach, that ferment my ideology. This is why I'm a revolutionary Christian. Jesus and Moses were both revolutionaries.
All power to the people. All power to the people. But
all power.
Yeah, no, all power to the people. But even with what you said, when he said communism is at once a complete system of proletarian ideology.
Yeah, that's a very bold claim to make.
Hold on. In the history of the world, the masses of the people have never had control of any state. The poor, the working poor, the peasants have never had control. I'm a historian by trade. The working people, the masses, the peasants have never held power. Even Mansa Musa or with Shaka Zulu. Because what was Shaka Zulu? I mean, like we talked about feudalism. All those means or ways of organizing society. How those things have to go in the dustbin of history. Like when we talk about history, we study history to see the truth. If we go to Africa, they had kings, they had queens. Everybody did not share in the production. Everybody did not share in what was going on in those communities. I mean, but I don't want to stay there and argue whether socialism or communism is the best, is the most complete. Like that's not what we're really trying to get at. What we're trying to get at is how we solve the issues and conditions in the community. So I'm gonna go back to here. We just finished that first chapter, whatever. And we basically went through the definition of what capitalism and communism is, because he's gonna be going through that. They're gonna be bringing it up. I need everybody to understand that. Capitalism is a socioeconomic system that means private corporations. Like most people walk around, they say capitalism, they say all these isms, but they don't know what they really mean. Capitalism means private individual, the wealthy, the Elon Musk, the Jeff Bezos, the who was it for what's his name, man? The one that's trying to bring down the population in the world with the COVID stuff, man.
Fauci.
Yeah, not Fauci, the people that paid.
Bill Gates.
Yeah, Bill Gates, all of these people. Bill Gates, all of these people. These are the people that's controlling how our world function. Them and a few more others like them. That's what capitalism is. Should they be able to control our lives, to dictate our reality? Or communism, all of us, every single one of us, has a say in the means and productions in our communities, in our societies. And that's the conversation that we have in here. When I talk about capitalism, communism, that's where I'm at with it. I mean, I'm not, but anyway, be that as it may, let me continue.
Mm-hmm. And he was also, in that quote, he was talking about, the building of new democracies.
Now, we ain't get there yet. Hey, it's still, we ain't get there yet. It still sound low, General Secretary. It still sound low. Hey, you know what? I'm gonna read it, because I got the book right here. Everybody that's a member of our organization, you got to have the book. You got to read through this book to understand what we're doing. So I have the book. I'm going to read it through here. The socialist system will eventually replace the capitalist system. This is an objective law, independent of man's will. However much the reactionaries strive to hold back the will of history, eventually revolution will take place and will inevitably triumph. We communists never conceal our political views. Definitely and beyond all doubt, our future of maximum program is to carry China forward to socialism and communism. Both the name of our party. Somebody say something?
No, man, you reading, I'm listening.
Okay, our party and our Marxist world outlook unequivocally point to the supreme ideal of the future, a future incomparable brightness and splendor. Taken as a whole, the Chinese revolutionary movement led by the Communist Party embraces the two stages, i.e. democratic and socialist revolutions, which are two essentially different revolutionary processes. The second process can be carried through only after the first has been completed. The democratic revolution is necessary. Preparation for the socialist revolution, and socialist revolution is an inevitable sequel to the democratic revolution. The ultimate aim for which all communists strive is to bring about a socialist and communist society. Socialist revolution aims at liberating the productive forces. The change over from individual to and let me stop right there, because most of the time when people talk about socialism, communism, they act like everybody's going to be sitting at home, nobody's working, people are just collecting money, like nobody adds nothing to society. The socialist revolution aims at liberating the productive forces. Who are the productive forces? They're the people are the workers. You, Bernard, me, everybody else that gets up and go work to make this country, this engine move. You are the productive forces. And he's saying here, socialist revolution aimed at liberating the productive forces, freeing us. The change over from the individual to the socialist, collective ownership in agriculture and handcraft, and from capitalist to socialist ownership in private industry and commerce is bound to bring about a tremendous liberation of the productive forces. Thus, the social conditions are being created for a tremendous expansion of industrial, agricultural production. So he's saying, hey, by freeing our labor, by having us participate in the system, giving us democracy. We have no democracy. And I will argue, I have no democracy. Even if I were to go vote in the election, if I were to cast a vote for Biden or for Trump, both people that I don't want, that don't believe what I believe, that don't support a communal space, a communal community, or giving power to people like me. Even if I voted for those two people, that vote don't count because they got to go to the electoral colleges. You got to have money to be able to run for these offices. None of this is free. The entire process to me is not democratic. I'm gonna ask you, do you think this process is democratic?
No. I mean, I agree that, the democratic revolution. Can you hear me?
I'm listening to you. I'm listening.
Okay, I agree that the democratic revolution is the necessary preparation.
Yes.
Okay, let's understand that it is necessary in order to lead to this clash. We gotta struggle and suffer. That's the dialectic of it. As the working class are, because remember, capitalism has to expand, and then that expansion leads to imperialism. You know what I'm saying? So we're actually striking against imperial expansion. America's an imperialist nation. Let's, be clear here.
All power to the people.
Because we're in the belly of the imperialist nation, the struggle that we're experiencing on a day-to-day basis, the worker is going to experience the weight of, like trying to squeeze water out of a rock. You already put in 80 hours to, take care of your household, and then they want an additional 10 hours.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So they take your weekends, they take your Sundays, your day of worship. They take everything in order to increase profits, not realizing that residual income is coming from the backs of the people.
All power to the people.
Liberating that environment happens. Now, do you believe that happens spontaneously? Meaning the more the masses swell, eventually that combustion leads to the spontaneous revolution, like in Russia, where when those famines are taking place, or is it going to happen because of, like, the Panthers, a organized vanguard party that puts that ideology in the face of the people and then shows the people through work on the ground? Like, you guys, you have your own you have your own community garden. You're educating children that are, being, miseducated and I'm a teacher by trade, so I know the struggles where, miseducation comes into play, especially in our public school framework. So when you're picking a battle and you're struggling through those fights, the necessary work is happening that is going to lead to that clash. But ultimately speaking, regardless of what strategy we're utilizing, that clash is inevitable, and we're preparing the people for that clash.
All power to the people. I couldn't have said it better. That is what Pantherism does in our community. You're preparing the people for that clash, and if you don't prepare all power to the people. And if you don't prepare the people for that class, then you're failing as an organization and as leaders in the community. That's what basically this is talking about, and we're about to get to that real quick. That's why I'll be telling you to, bless you, that's why I'll be telling you to slow down, because you're getting right to the point. Word up.
That's part of my problem. I like to strike right to the root, the jugular.
There's stuff to read, bro. I gotta read this stuff, man.
Okay, big brother, good.
We are now carrying out a revolution, not only in the social system, the change from private to public ownership, but also in technology. The change from handcraft to large-scale modern machine production. And the two revolutions are interconnected. In agriculture, with conditions as they are in our country, cooperation must precede the use of big machinery. In capitalist countries, agriculture develops in a capitalist way. Like they had slaves. That's how they built. How they built the country on the back. So he's saying here, like, it can't work that way. It has to be one and the same. So when we're organizing in our communities and we're trying to build cooperatives in our communities with the people in the community, like, it got to be a democratic space. This can't be Africa got the bank accounts, Africa collecting everybody money, Africa taking everybody money, talking about you going to buy property and then use that to go to Africa, to go live in Africa. It's not that. Everything got to be democratic. Africa can't be everything. So Bernard, whoever else is here, they are in charge of the banking. They are in charge of the resources, the money that we getting in. kind of building of bureaucracy, where everything is not in one person's hand, one king, one president, whatever you want to call it. Let me keep going. We must without regard industry and agriculture, socialist industrialization and socialist transformation of agriculture two separate and isolated things. And on no account must we emphasize the one and play down the other. The new social system has only just been established and requires time for it to consolidate. Now he's talking about in China because they won the revolution, and he's saying that they're in place now, that they have power now, and you can't just get rid of everything. It takes time to remove the state what's already there. It must not be assumed that the new system can be completely consolidated the moment it is established, but that is impossible. It has to be consolidated systematically. To achieve its ultimate consolidation, it is necessary not only to bring about the socialist industrialization of the country and preserve the socialist revolution on the economic front, but also to carry on constant and arduous socialist revolutionary struggles and socialist education on the political and ideological front. Moreover, various contributory, I got this African tongue, man, they be cutting up. Contributory international factors are required. And now it's a speech in China at the Chinese Party National Conference. In China, the struggle to consolidate the socialist system, the struggle to decide whether socialism or capitalism will prevail, will still take a long historical period. However, we should all realize that the new system of socialism will be unquestionably be consolidated. We can assuredly build a socialist state with a modern industry, modern agriculture, and modern science and culture. The number of intellectuals who are hostile to our state is very small. They do not like our state, i.e., the dictatorship of the proletariat. So he's saying now that like when the proletariat, like we live in Newark, New Jersey, when we all rise up and we say we're not paying rent. The whole community decides we're not paying rent. Just like Bernard, you just said that there's gonna be a clash. When the people stand up, wake up, and they say like, yeah, we're not paying rent to these landlords no more. Yo, they're gonna pick up the landlords. They're gonna pick up the phone. They're gonna call some people that got on some blue suits, that got some guns on their hips, and they're gonna come and start busting your head open. Yo, in a few shows we talked about that with Richard Wolff. Richard Wolff, the economist, spelled all of that out. Once I'm gonna get to you in a second. Just remember, put a pen by what you want to say. Whenever there's opportunity, they will stir up trouble and attempt to overthrow the Communist Party and restore old China, as between the proletariat and the bourgeois roads, as between the socialist and the capitalist roads. These two people stubbornly choose to follow the latter. In fact, this road is impossible, and in fact, therefore, they are ready to capitulate to imperialism. Remember what you said earlier, imperialism? That's what it leads to? Mm-hmm. Feudalism and its bureaucratic capitalism. I tell you, don't be talking too fast. You be jumping the gun. Such people are to be found in political circles and in industrial and commercial, cultural and educational, scientific, technology, and religious circles. And they are extremely reactionary. Those are all the people, the professors, the intellectuals, all of these people. They want to support the system that's in place because they benefit from it. The serious problem is the education of the peasantry, educating the people. The people, our children that don't know how to read, they read at the 3rd grade, 4th grade level. He's saying in organizing our community, the serious problem is education of the peasantry. The peasant economy is scattered. And remember, I am a peasant. Yo, I live in North. I'm not rich. I'm not making hundreds of thousands of dollars to do nothing. We're barely paying our $2,000 and some change rent. We got a 3-bedroom, and we got to struggle to pay rent in there. We can't go nowhere. We don't go out. We stay in the house, and we watch Netflix, or we watch a Fire Stick. We don't even have cable. Yo, I am the peasant. I mean, so people, like, we got to understand what class we in. The peasant economy is scattered, and the socialization of agriculture, judging by the Soviet Union experience, will require a long time and painstaking work. Without socialization of agriculture, there can be no complete consolidation of socialism. We must have faith, first, that the peasant masses are ready to advance step by step along the road of socialism. under the leadership of the party. And second, that the party is capable of leading peasants along this road. These 2 points are the essence of the matter, the main current. The leading bodies in the cooperative, the leading body, and this is the cooperative, the organization that we built as a community. The leading bodies in the cooperative must establish the dominant position of the poor peasant and the new lower middle peasant in the bodies, i.e., the people must be established in position of power over private individuals, over the rich people, over the wealthy people. The 80%, 90%, whatever we are in society, there are people that's working paycheck to paycheck, the people that could barely afford rent. The brother says he's in the hospital. I'm scared to ask him about the medical bills. The people that can't afford all of these things, these are the people that he's talking about. He said for us to have any organization or build anything in our community, those people must be centered. You must deal with those people. Our system in America does not do that. And that's why we're counterculture to what is being done here. Only thus can unity between the poor and middle peasant be attained. Moreover, the cooperative can also be consolidated. Production can be expanded, and the socialist transformation of the entire countryside be correctly accomplished in accordance with the party's policy. Otherwise, unity between the middle and poor peasant cannot be attained. The cooperatives cannot be consolidated, production cannot be expanded, and the socialist transformation of the entire countryside cannot be achieved. This is the last paragraph right here, then we're going to go into what we're talking about right here. It is essential to unite the middle peasant, and it is wrong not to do so. But on whom must the working class and the Communist Party rely in the countryside in order to unite with the middle peasant and realize the socialist transformation of the entire countryside? Surely on none other than the poor peasant, on the people. Now let me go to this video right here.
Turn me around, running up the King's Highway. You better go ahead with it. Turn me around, turn me around, turn me around, don't let nobody turn me around, running up the King's Highway. Turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. The young people said the big homie is in the
Hey, yo, this video is a video from yesterday. Yesterday, February 1st, 2025. I needed to go down in history. Hey, yo, the people in North New Jersey are catching hell. So we catching hell out here. Yo, people can't afford anywhere to live out here. The wages are low. People are suffering. Unemployment is high. Yo, I'm talking about, yo, it's home. When you go outside your home, every block you drive on, people are homeless. This community has been ran down. Yo, in this video is the mayor of the city of Newark, New Jersey, that's supposed to work for the residents, for the people. Yo, because that's his mandate. When you're put into office, you do the business of the people. When these landlords, these corporations, whoever comes in to do business, yo, you're the CEO. I mean, you're the head spokesperson for the taxpayers, the residents in the community that work every day to pay taxes. This is his solution to the conditions in our community. So what are they doing here? Target said they're no longer going along with some DEI, some method that had nothing to do with black people that did nothing for the masses. Another fake reform that did nothing for the masses. So Target is getting rid of that reform. So because Target is getting rid of that reform, the leadership in our community that we pay taxes to, and even Al Sharpton that you see on that screen, and his sidekick, Reverend Bartley, that's in Newark, New Jersey. These people that are in our community exploiting and stealing from the community. Because let me explain to you what Reverend Bartley does. Reverend Bartley works for Al Sharpton. He's supposed to be his head guy in Newark. So these corporations come in, these landlords, these slumlords, they want to come in and buy a property. So they go to these people like Al Sharpton and they give them money for credibility, for social credibility, to say like, yeah, this is the work that they've been doing in the community. Though these corporations are good enough to come do business in the city. Bartley, all of them collect money from these slumlords, from these landlords, and they go out and they work for them. So when they having issues, when one plantation is beefing with the other, they come out and go protect one plantation. So they went out there and they told all black people in that area to come out so they could go shop at Costco. So the problem to rectify, to fix our problems in the community, the homelessness, because this is not what Africa's saying. Yo, I'm not making these claims myself. These claims have been made. Your Rutgers University did wrote up a whole paper where they talked about how the politicians enable what is going on in our community. Matter of fact, yo, I have the video for that, man. After this video, yo, I want you to say what you gotta say. Take over real quick. It's like, because when we're talking about communal living, when we're talking about all of us sharing in the production in the community, the only people that are eating from the production in our community is people like Ras Baraka, who's a millionaire now. It's people like Al Sharpton who have private jets. They've built nothing. They've done nothing. They've contributed nothing to society. But these are the people that are running around. They're all on this platform being pushed out there as the leaders in our community when our community don't even know these people. And most of the organizations, most of the fake activist organizations in the city are under Ras Baraka. Those are his non-profits. He's funding those OVP, all these groups, OPP, all of that stuff. Baraka is funding it with federal tax dollars, which I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a judge, but I know that shit got to be illegal. You cannot be funding the organizations in the community that are supposed to be working for the community to prop up your administration. I know that's not legal, but let me play this video real quick.
The bottom line is, we can't even afford to live here. Yo, I don't know why the people haven't woken up to this. Because for the last 10 years, yo, I've been seeing it myself. The average person in North make up like 30 or less. If the rent is $1,300, $1,400, $1,500, $2,500 a month, how are you affording to live? So you're working all day from sun up to sundown. You're coming home into this impoverished neighborhood with the worst school, worst everything. And it's not you. It is nothing that you're doing. When you go vote for these politicians, they write laws to make my reality of not being able to afford a home in North real. This is not me making this up and I'm just saying it, being hyperbolic. This is scientific data. The report noted, but it warned of potential consequences like fucking riots. The consequences if you keep throwing people out their house, people gonna burn this shit down.
Chairman, how long ago was that? That
was
you did that interview?
Thank you. That was 2 years ago. That was 2 years ago when we did that in 2022. But I'm about to go on real quick. I want to hurry up and get this over with.
Prompting the title of Crimes Report. Who owns North? Transferring wealth from North homeowners to corporate buyers. Corporate buyers often purchase large batches of single-family homes.
Yo, this is a report done by Ruckus North, the crime report. I'm just reading a segment from it to show that these politicians, these capitalist politicians, they wrote policies and enable the corporate takeover of our communities.
Homes in one neighborhood and leave them, paying investors the money they collected from rents. The practice is part of a nationwide trend that began when limited liability companies, often backed by large-scale equity investment, became active in residential real estate after the foreclosure crisis in 2010, which especially impacted communities of color. Footnote: who was president in 2010? When they were able to
President of the United States, Obama.
Barack Obama.
Yo, let me pause it there. Now, because like when we had this conversation, they have us so separated. They have us fighting each other. Like people can't even see what's right in front of their face. Like people really think Obama, Michelle, all these people are gods. Like these people are here working for our communities. But when you take a look, like I didn't make that report. That report was made by Ruckus, and they didn't mention Obama. Like they tried to tell the truth without telling the truth. But they said all of this started happening, the ability for these corporations to come in our communities and take our homes. And why am I talking about housing? Because that's what people are going through. I'm not going to be talking about anything else that the people in the community are not suffering from. If you go outside and you pull somebody over and you be like, yo, what's the issues you got going on right now? They're going to tell you it's almost impossible to buy food. It's almost impossible to have a place to live. So that's what we're talking about, because we want to bring about change in those spaces, in those issues. So like when we're talking here, you get to find out, you start to read, you find out that these policies, these things were allowed to happen by the politicians that look just like us, that say that they're out there fighting for us. That's why the Democratic Party is dead. That party is dead. You could stick a knife in them. They're done. I don't see them winning nothing. They have nothing to even stand on, to speak about, to fight for. So they go to identity issues. So go ahead. What you guys think, Bernard?
All power to you for that. I mean, I appreciate, and that's why I wanted to have this conversation. But something, I'm going to start back with the text. I want to go back to, because I did remember taking that note when you talked about, when Mao talked about that struggle to decide between socialism or capitalism, and how it's going to require a long historical period of to happen, which brought me to the idea of protracted struggle, something I learned in Neoforce, protracted struggle. And I think, when you look at a politician like Raz, and for a long time, I used to, consider Raz amongst the revolutionary, ideologists. And the jury's still out on that, to be honest, because that protracted struggle sometimes can lead to revolutionary paralysis, where you've been, sort of, shadow boxing with, imperialism and its, structured arms like the police, like you said, that come out, when the landlord isn't getting his rent money. You know what I'm saying? And, I don't know that battlefield. I know I would never want to be a mayor to deal with those contradictions, because, I'm the type, I'm for the peasantry as well. I would eliminate private property overnight. You know what I'm saying, if it was me. But that probably would lead to a quick death, so to speak, which is something, Mao also talked about. Like, you got to be strategic when you're, especially when you're organizing in the superpower. Trotsky taught me that, organizing revolution in the superpower. We are in a superpower. You know what I'm saying? No different than Russia, no different than China. This is a superpower. So you got to think revolution in the superpower, the international implications that would have. That's why this struggle has to be done right. It is our responsibility to get it right. And in getting it right, it takes protracted struggle. Now, where are we in the element? Are we in the elementary phase of struggle? Where are we in this landscape? Well, if we go with a Marxist perspective, the more wealth capitalism garnishes, the more oppressive the arms of the government are going to be on the people. So when you see situations where there are tremendous homelessness, like, and this is another, game that I can't play with if I was a politician. It's like, I wouldn't come out to the people and say, well, 57% of, we've reduced homelessness in the city of Newark by 57%. Well, really? 57%? So if all of the staying spaces I go to, there's tent cities, forming, and then there's food insecurity all over the city, so there's all kinds of organizations giving out food, and people who are even in domiciles right now, when rents are going up to $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, and the city services stay the same. Like, I don't get my garbage picked up at 5 in the morning, so that when I'm off to work, I'm not smelling and like garbage. Operational efficiency. You got some cities, they operate, so efficiently that, as soon as the garbage goes out, the garbage man is coming down the street while we're still in dusk, and they're having conversations, bringing the garbage man a cup of coffee or something. So there's a lot that's going on in terms of the oppression of the people under the regime, but the creative use of what we have available to create the kind of struggle that's necessary so that we're building consciousness amongst the people. In Near Force, we used to do feeding and clothing drives where, we would set up in, let's say, a certain area in Newark and, set up tables and give out food to the people. But the goal was to give out political information. So it was like, we used to publish a pamphlet called Street Law, to connect people with what, to the legal realities on the ground of how you defend yourself against police. A little pamphlet we go out and give it, sell it. So for me personally, I use, the art of the meme. I got that from Amity Baraka, where, Amity said, listen, we got to get the art. Every word is a bullet. Every word is a bullet. Every meme is a bullet to try to pierce through the belly of the big belly of capitalism. You know what I'm saying? So that continues to grow. You know what I'm saying? So protracted struggle is what I would say. My takeaway.
All power to the people.
Because what you're doing is a reflection of protracted struggle, like building a community garden. That's protracted struggle. So as you're teaching people how to feed themselves and get control of the food, you know what I'm saying, while at the same time struggling with the brother, it's like, yo, man, you got to pay rent today too, man? Yeah, rent day today is the first of the month. Yo, I got to drop like 2 bands, bro, and I only got like, 500. But I also got to get school supplies for my kids. I also got to get, water because, we got to drink. So it's like you got so many different things that you have to navigate through. And then when you come together as the vanguard party, like, listen, brother, we got water for you. So we got a water coalition over here. We're going to bring water to you. Like, you're supplying life rafts for the people who are struggling. That's what protracted struggle is doing. And if Baraka is doing that, it may not be as transparent to us on the ground because my chessboard happens to be in education. So whereas I'm dealing with, students, and I'm dealing with, what Kunjufu talked about in Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys, where at 4th grade, our kids are making up in their mind that they're going to drop out of school. So between 4th grade and 8th grade, they're just going through the motions. So if I'm struggling against that, then I got to figure out how to connect with those after-school programs similar to what you guys are offering as well. So I'm recognizing the protracted struggle in your organization and your thinking. Now, is unit. if you're also a Leninist, then you also understand the importance of the united front. So we have got to also talk about a united front amongst our people. I don't hate Rise Rock. I love Rise. You know what I'm saying? We worked together before. You know what I'm saying? I love him as a man, but ideologically, if you're reactionary and that reaction is crippling the people, then, we got an issue. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I take issue. So our ideological differences are one thing, but, because the revolutionary always practices out of love, like I'm approaching this whole situation out of love for the intense love for the people. You know what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with that, you know what I'm saying? And I think we share that in common, which is why this conversation, we're going to be allies after this.
Oh, Polly, of course. We ain't got no choice. Because that's the whole point of this conversation. We're not here to argue. You and I sitting here arguing about capitalism and that ain't going to do nothing to help nobody outside. But you and I come here sitting, talking about the issues and trying to find ways to deal with it. That's the only purpose for this conversation. And anybody that comes, because most people are come have this conversation. They think it's going to be standoffish, attacking. Nah. And you just said something just now. You said it got to be out of love, and our struggle is protracted.
Yes. I remember a protracted struggle, and it's fueled by an intense love for the people and an intense love for struggle. Where there's no struggle, there's no progress. That's why you gotta love the struggle, bro. You gotta love getting up every day and figuring out how you gonna eat. You gotta love getting up every day and figuring out how you gonna do whatever. That's part of the process. That's the protracted struggle. But when you love life, you live in that.
But this is where we disagree, though. Like, whatever this boy doing working for imperialism is not protracted of nothing that I'm trying to work with. And I go back when I first walked out of prison in 2008. When I went to prison, because I didn't learn nothing on the street. Everything I learned when I got the focus was in prison when I started reading, and I started to look at myself from outside looking. And when I read about it, Mary Baraka, they talked about the riots in '69. They talked about the riots. I'm like, I never even knew about who Mary Baraka was. When I came out of prison, I was down at the council meeting. They had Occupy. Occupy was going on at the same time in North. Occupy North. And somewhere down there, I met Mary Baraka for the first time. I didn't even know it was him because we got into an argument down there. But I didn't even know it was him. But I started studying about him. I'm reading George Jackson. George Jackson is talking about Mary Baraka and what is it? Blood.
That brother, he does. Blood in My Eye as well.
Blood in My Eyes. He talked about Mary Baraka. I heard Fred Hampton talk about Mary Baraka. Reverend Cleve. Talked about Mary Baraka.
Asada mentioned. So he was definitely formidable as the architect of the Black Arts movement. You know what I mean? A communist.
No. These people I'm talking about, they mentioned him in a good light. They did not mention him. They mentioned him.
I know.
Yeah, they mentioned him in the bad light. They're saying he's basically an institutionalist. And then now that we get to sit back with 2020 vision and watch his children operate in our city. Since 2012. Since 2012, these people have been in power. You get to sit back. Because like you, I once supported Ras Baraka. Because he spoke that revolutionary talk. And we thought we was doing a protracted struggle. Like we thought this was, hey man, this is in my head. The grassroots coming up. They're about to take over City Hall. And then this, that, and the third. He came in worse than Cory Booker. Everything that he was talking about Cory Booker, he's worse than Cory Booker. His police department is under a consent decree. People are living on the street. Gentrification is the highest in all over the country. We're not just saying around here in New Jersey. Gentrification is the worst all over the country, and I don't see anything changing. In fact, last week, he hired Obama's campaign people to head his campaign for him to run for governor. The water is still poison. He lied about all of that. He protects the police. There's nothing about him that's protracted. He's exactly what George Jackson, what Fred Hampton, everybody said that people like Mary Baraka was going to produce. They were going to produce racist revolutionaries, white supremacists in blackface. And that's exactly what he is. And I can't say I like him as a man. They have me under investigation. I went to court with Ron. The judge, they gave the judge whatever. They told the judge, I'm a threat to dignitaries in the city because I questioned them on people being abused. I mean, like, that's it. I questioned them about housing. Yo, they turned
dignitaries.
Yeah,
really?
They turned me into Osama bin Laden. They got them tapping my phones, watching my house. And when they watch me, it's crazy. Because, like, all I do is I do the same thing every day. Get up in the morning, go pick up the kids in the program, take them to school. In the afternoon, pick them up from school, go to the after-school program, go to the activities, drop them off. That's Monday to Friday. So if they're watching me, they're bored as hell because there's nothing going on. And then I go to meetings, political organizations from New York all over, going everywhere doing political stuff. So they're bored watching me. But this is what Ron has the government doing to the people in the city that's really trying to come at the administration. What other organization in North New Jersey is holding Ralph Baraka accountable for housing, the record amount of displacement on the streets? Zaid, the fake Zaid from the fake Black Panther, was Sharif Imhotep, Keisha Yuri. These are all the people that belong to all these fake organizations that he is funding. He giving these people jobs. And you expect these people that call themselves activists like Larry Ham, you expect these people to challenge him? They're not going to challenge him. And we got to keep it a buck with ourselves if we say, like, yo, we want to change the condition in our community. I mean, we got to keep it real 100. I mean, so I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a fake independent, because you can't be an independent. You either one. You just say you're an independent because you don't want people to say you're a Republican or a Democrat. So you just say I'm an independent. But whatever you are, the Green Party, whatever, none of that stuff is going to do anything to change our conditions on the ground. I mean, and like when we read the Red Book, when we go into books like that and study those books, that is to show us people that have defeated imperialism, how they did it. And so what is he saying you got to do? He's saying the poor peasants got to organize together. I just read it. Got to organize together to start funding industries in their community for them to be able to live. We should build a cooperative. I bring my money. It's income tax season. I bring my money, bring your money. We sit down at the table and we start to invest in these homes so we can own these homes. And then, like he said, like the brother said a few minutes ago, once we establish that unity, that united front in the community, they're going to come attack us. Because they got to be a clash. Because they want to oppress us. And if we say, like, nah, we're not going to be oppressed, they don't want to hear that. Because that's how they make their money. But before we get to that stage, the first stage is those after-school programs, those gardens, those cooperatives, the political education classes, reading and studying. Hey, Bernard, nobody's paying Bernard to be here. All this knowledge that Bernard is spewing, that is giving here, the stuff we're talking about here, nobody's paying good all part to the people. Now, let me continue. That was the case when the struggle against the landlord was being waged. Because, listen, they're going to talk about the same issues we're dealing with now. And that is the case today when the struggle against the rich peasant and other capitalist elements is being waged to achieve socialist transformation of agriculture. In both these revolutionary periods, the middle peasant wavered in the initial stages. It is only after they clearly see the general trend of events and the approaching triumph of the revolution that the middle peasant will come in on the side of the revolution. The poor peasant must work on the middle peasant and win them over so that the revolution will broaden from day until final victory. Now, when he said that, when I read that on there, the first thing that came to my mind was this. Secretary General, you might need to come back. I'm bugging. There we go. I got it. Boom. So listen to this right. This is Dr. Umar. I had a conversation with Dr. Umar this a couple of years ago, and I asked him the same question. Check this out.
I consider myself a Pan-Africanist too, and I believe the only way for us to liberate ourselves as black people is to build our own institutions, from coast to coast, all around the globe, to be able to take care of our own people and guide our own people. How do we get the people in position of power, the people that have the resources and the access to our people, to be able to direct them in that path, to tell our people we need to walk away from the institutions of white supremacy and build our own? And I know you're about to open up your school. Take a brief second to tell us about that. We're about to open that in a few weeks. I mean, look, Opening up my own school is my dream. I would love to do that. Yeah. I mean, it's a big accomplishment. But I'm sure you understand we need schools in all our communities to take the kids to our people. The right school. Yeah. How do we get our people, those in position of power, to invest in such a strategy? Here's the thing about building independent communities and institutions. Our celebrity class are not going to help us in the beginning. Our celebrity class will help us in the end. First, they have to see the proof, and then they have to be held accountable by the collective, which will happen once we bring the idea from theory to fruition.
All power to the people. This was a couple of years ago. This is, I mean, like when I spoke to him and he said this, that's when I started putting together everything, like everything that we designing, the after-school program, the housing, the cooperatives, reading all these books, studying, evolving in theory. Before, I didn't read this stuff in the Red Book. I hadn't read it yet when I had a conversation with him. But I'm gonna bring it back again. He said that was the case when the struggle against the landlord was being waged and the land reform was being carried out. And that is the case today when the struggle against the rich peasant and other capitalist element is being waged to achieve the socialist transformation of agriculture. In both cases, in both these revolutionary periods, the middle peasant wavered in the initial stages. That's what we're talking about. He said the middle. She's trying to get something right down here. Was being raised. Yeah, but anyway, but you understand what I'm saying. But like in all those cases, the people will have to organize their communities and do all this stuff before these middle class people, these wealthy people, will join in. And it's like, that's a sad part, because when people talk about Du Bois, when he said the talented tenth, he meant those people with those resources. It was their duty to build institutions in our community to uplift our people. You see, people get the talented tenth wrong. I mean, like, he meant those people are responsible. Those people in our community with money. The ones with the millions of dollars, the billions of dollars, the one that's running around, they keep showing us how poor we are. It is their responsibility. But they're proving that they won't do it. So since they won't do it, it is up to us in these communities to do it. That is what Pantherism is saying. I mean, that's all we're saying. I'm not here telling you to go take over City Hall. That's their hall. We need to create our own hall. Why you got to go to their city to go take their hall? Make your own hall. I mean, go to your own. If we start serving the people in our community, they're going to instinctively come to us before they go to City Hall.
And that's what I think is happening, though, as I analyze the conditions. I represent.
I mean, go to your own. If we start serving the people in our community, they're going to instinctively come to us before they go to City Hall.
And that's what I think is happening, though, as I analyze the conditions. I represent an organization, you represent an organization, so we're doing that now. Like, as we come together and start to coalesce with individuals who share a like-minded position, we're building. And as we continue to build, that's what advances our level of struggle. So as we are dealing with our own individual level of struggle, remember, I'm going to, I had a conversation similar to the conversation you had, not with Umar Johnson, but with Bobby Seale. Mm-hmm. I remember questioning Bobby Seale. I said, the Panthers, your generation, you used the gun to capture the imagination of America's youth. No Sacramento, the Panthers don't grow the way they did. It was Sacramento that grew the Panthers.
But pause for a second. People don't understand about propaganda. They don't understand how valuable propaganda is. You see, and people don't. You say without Sacramento. You see, people don't know what you mean by that. People they were going through the gun was it gun debate, gun law.
Yeah.
They were talking about the gun.
The Muford Act that Reagan pretty much.
For that. So they got their guns and they went to the floor of the Capitol. What was it, Ronald Reagan?
Yeah, that was Reagan. That is, stood behind that act you know, because he was the one who really, I believe, got them arrested. You know what I mean? You know, because remember, they got out of the Capitol and they were arrested like at a gas station, you know what I'm saying, where they were coming up with all type of trumped up charges to kind of like get them in the legal system. But, you know, the point is, you're right in terms of the effective use of the media. Even the civil rights movement, you know, capitalized off the media. You know, you see those images of water hoses knocking down children. You know, people are outraged around the world. These acts can really fuel the radical revolutionary party or the quote unquote vanguard party. But the question I asked Bobby Seale, you know, asking him about what do we do as young revolutionaries? What do we do to, you know, capture the imagination of the youth? And he said to me, hip hop. He said likely hip hop. And, you know, so I started using hip hop in the classroom. You know what I'm saying? To try to, you know, what Kunjufu talked about, encountering the conspiracy to destroy black boys, where at 4th grade, black boys make it up in their mind to drop out of school. Well, if we become middle school teachers and we start capturing the imagination of those kids, you know, using poetry, using hip-hop, using other aspects of the superculture, then we could create the flower bed to revolution, the flower bed to building up the peasantry, so to speak, the lumpen proletariat connecting with the, you know, the proletariat and maybe aspects of the petty bourgeoisie coming together to amass that movement, you know, whether it's going to happen spontaneously or via the vanguard party. So these are the struggles.
No revolution happens spontaneously. People got to put that work in. They got to be that cadre that hold the line. And even what you're saying, everybody's crying about Trump. You know, Trump is a fascist, because you know you got to say that, because if you start saying stuff, people are like, oh, you support Donald Trump. You know, I believe Trump is a fascist. Just like I believe Ras Barack are a fascist. Like, ain't no difference between Trump, Biden, Ras Barack, Obama. All these people are the same to me. I don't like separate none of them. You know what Trump passed? You could if you home child your kid, you get $10,000 back in tax credit. Did you hear that?
No.
Yeah, he passed that. To me, I don't believe we should send our children into any of these institutions. Both of my children went through these institutions because there was nothing erected, and we didn't build nothing to put in place to send our children. But to me, in my analysis, in my theory, my understanding, our children should not be in any of those institutions, because it doesn't matter what you're teaching them about hip-hop, using hip-hop to develop them. After they leave you, they got a whole institution that they got to deal with. Our children should not be part of these institutions. We had that. We fought. I remember when I used to be around Barack, and they used to be talking about the Amistad bill. We're going to get the Amistad bill. We're going to teach our children who they are, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. They had that for years now. They haven't implemented it at all because they don't care. They don't genuinely care about changing anything. The schools are still failures. The children are reading at a 5% proficiency, math at a 6% proficiency. They're going nowhere. Their lives are going nowhere. The doors to their life has been slammed already. And what grade is that? 3rd and 4th grade. So if you can't read 3rd, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, by the time you get to 7th and 8th grade, you ain't even going to school no more. These are the conversations that we need to have in our community. What are we going to do? I would say, like, let's get that $10,000 from each parent and start our own after-school, homeschools. We need to start homeschools in the community. When we talk about that protracted struggle, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about putting things like this in place. Because if none of those kids are homeschooled, none of them are being educated, they're all going into these institutions to make them dumb, to keep them as slaves. How can you expect revolution from them? They don't even know what a revolution is. They can't spontaneously wake up one minute and be like, oh, we need to go have a revolution. And you don't know nothing. You don't even know you're being oppressed. You become willing to your oppression. Part of it. Let me continue reading, man. There is a serious tendency towards capitalism among the well-to-do peasants. The tendency will become rampant if we, in the slightest way, neglect political work among the peasants during the cooperative movement and for a very long period after. So he's saying after they won, after they they defeated imperialism and they took their country back. He's saying we have to practice all of this. We have to keep teaching the people about socialism and communism, because they ain't going away. It's still here. That's what the people have been socialized with, like me. I went to Alexander, Velsburg Middle, Sussex Avenue, West Side, all these schools that I went to. Yo, they trained me and they told me, yo, hurry up, get your education and get out the hood. That is what they told me. That's what I learned going to school. I mean, get out the hood. Go get your education and get out the hood. None of them told me it is your duty to understand who you are in this world and then uplift, like join the ranks to uplift your people from oppression. None of them taught me that, because that's not what they were there to do. The agricultural cooperative movement has been a severe ideological and political struggle from the very beginning. No cooperative can be established without going through such a struggle. Before a brand new social system can be built on the site of the old, the site must be swept clean. Invariably, remnants of old ideas reflecting the old system remain in people's minds for a long time, and they do not easily give away. After a cooperative is established, it must go through many more struggles before it can be consolidated. Even then, the moment it relaxes its effort, it may collapse. Yo, like they're in the second stage. Yo, a few minutes ago, you said, what stage are we in? Yo, we're not even in the stage where we're doing anything. Yo, as a people, as a collective, like let's just say black people, poor black people, the mass of black people, we are not in no stage. We don't have the institutions built. We don't even have people that are called our leaders talking about building the institutions. They're taking us from Target to Costco. That's what these individuals, they're supposed to be leaders, are doing in our community. So when we talk about where are we at in this revolution, you know, if we don't build it, it would never happen. And we are nowhere. Yeah, I know the work that I put in. I know the work the few people put in, but we're not united. We're not united, and this is not a united front. The spontaneous force of capitalism has been steadily growing in the countryside in recent years, with new rich peasants springing up everywhere, and many well-to-do middle peasants striving to become rich peasants. On the other hand, many poor peasants are still living in poverty for lack of sufficient means of production, with some in debt and others selling or renting out their land. If the tendency goes unchecked, the polarization in the countryside will inevitably be aggravated day by day. What are they doing? They're selling their homes. How did they buy all our homes in Newark? The people that were the residents that was living here couldn't afford them no more. And so most of them homes, they just sold them away to the banks because they couldn't afford to live here no more. Yo, this is what he's telling you. Mao is telling you this way in the 50s, in the 60s. He's telling you, if you don't hold this stuff together that we don't want, they're going to come back and take it. And China today is not communist. If we want to be frank about it, Russia today is not communist. Yo, so his everything that he's saying here actually came to pass. He said capitalism was dying. Yeah, capitalism is killing people all around the world, but capitalism is global. Everybody's a capitalist now. Like, that's where we at. Even in Russia, they practice capitalism. In China, they practice capitalism. It may be further back, like in the 50s and 60s of America, when America practiced it, but everybody's practicing capitalism because these warnings were not heeded. I mean, but be that as it may, those peasants who lose their land and those who remain in poverty will complain that we are doing nothing to save them from ruin or to help them overcome their difficulties. Nor will the well-to-do middle peasant who are heading in the capitalist direction be pleased with us, for we shall never be able to satisfy their demand unless we intend to take capitalist road. Can the worker-peasant alliance continue to stand him in their circumstances? Obviously not. There is no solution to this problem except on a new basis, and that means to bring about step-by-step socialist transformation of the whole of agriculture simultaneously with the gradual realization of socialist industrialization and the socialist transformation of handicraft and capitalist industry and commerce. In other words, it means to carry out cooperation and eliminate the rich peasant economy and the individual economy in the countryside, so all the people will become increasingly well off together. We maintain that this is the only way to consolidate the worker-peasant alliance. Look, this is page 16, 17, 18, 19 is the end of it. Yo, I don't know if y'all want to keep hearing me read, but when we post this video, we're going to put the rest of the recording with it. But basically, what they say was, what Mao was saying here, because like people don't read it. People talk about Mao, it's a cult. They trying to do cult. You read that stuff, it's a cult. Yo, it's basically saying, as he said, the brother said early in the beginning. Yo, you read this thing and it's teaching you how to survive in your community, how you put socialism, Marxism, how you bring all of that about. That's what the Red Book is about. It has nothing to do with being a cheerleader for Mao, for any of these people. Yo, it's like just when I look at my window, when I deal with people every day, yo, I don't see no other way. I mean, and I'm going to let the brother speak in a second. I don't see no other way for us to change our condition if we're not working together. I don't. I mean, and if anybody want to come here and have this conversation that says they're capitalists and they got a way to show, like, come on and have that debate, and you tell us how all of us here in this community are being pushed out by this corporation, by these wealthy people. How looking towards them or looking towards that system is going to do anything. I mean, all we do is talk about us working together here as a community to be able to liberate ourselves. Somebody want to say something? All right. Hey, go ahead, brother. You got anything to say, brother?
Yeah, I wanted to chime in to this. You know, I like the mission of what you guys are doing and organizing in the city of Newark. Let me just start by saying that. You know, I like what's going on in all of, you know, the city. One, because when we expose to contradictions, it opens up our eyes, and that's what brings us closer together. You know, taking a bunch of people, and a lot of what, you know, the administration are doing, and even Al Sharpton and those guys, they're reactionary, and not only reactionary, but they're bound to the opiate of capitalism. You know, so they got comfortable. You know what I'm saying? I mean, think about it. The more money you get in this country, the more money you get, the more comfortable you get. And once you get comfortable, you know, then you get a mindset like, you know, what Charlemagne the God said, you know, this struggle is going to be economic and class-driven. You know, there are classes that we can't engage with. I remember when I wrote an article in the Amsterdam News, and, you know, probably the last time Raz ever called me on the phone. You know what I'm saying? This was in the 90s. You know what I mean? So it's like once you got into politics and you got so much, you know, resource and influence, it's like the little guy is no longer important. You know what I'm saying? Which is the contradiction in itself. You know, so that's why we have to come together like we are doing right now. You know, I would like to see, you know, maybe next week, because I don't think this conversation is over after this moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, we gotta build, you know, and also organize with other individuals, because we do have a model for struggle that we can use that's effective right now, taking of power. You know, imagine, you know, 9 Black Panthers took over the city council legally. I mean, imagine that. Imagine, you know, we took over the mayor's office. You know what I'm saying? You know, so now you got a Panther mayor, you got Panther council, and imagine what we could do with that kind of community control. You know what I'm saying? Right now, that community control happens to be in the hands of the bourgeoisie. You know, so they are talking about. I just remember a couple of years ago where all the talk was about generational wealth. You know, so you're putting our freedom struggle under the auspices of the acquisition of more dollars. You know, we got the 13th largest economy in the world now. You know, where does that money go? You know, to alcohol. You know, billions of dollars spent on alcohol, billions of dollars spent on partying. You know what I'm saying? So when you're dealing with that kind of repression that's coming from people that look like you and I, it makes it difficult to struggle against within this, it's one of those conditions that puts a blockage in our motivation. I don't want to take out, people that look like me. I want to work with you. You know what I'm saying? I want you to, but when you're working within that system on that level of struggle, that's why I said I'm not a mayor. I'm not a president. I don't know the conditions they have to deal with. I don't know the enemy that they're confronting on that level. And I don't know how they're using their position to throw down crumbs to us so that we can, maneuver and live. I want to believe that that's what they're doing. I want to believe that. I want to believe that, Baraka sees a world of people, a capitalist, that gets right in his face and says, listen, he probably deals with that at that level of struggle. And then all of a sudden he says, okay, well, they're telling me that if I want to stay in this position, I gotta give up, X amount of apartment complexes in the city, and so he does that so that some people can get a job, or some people can get this. Is that counterintuitive?
It's counter-revolutionary.
Well, that's what I mean. Counter-revolutionary, counterintuitive. If it is, then we're bound to having that dialogue and that conversation and reaching those conclusions. I would like to get to where you are and reach those conclusions. You know what I'm saying? But right now I'm thinking about the governor's race. You got to me, Baraka might be the leading candidate coming out of the left. And then who's the leading candidate coming out of the right? Jack Ciattarelli. You know what I'm saying? I watched Jack Ciattarelli in office, and or at least running. So if it comes down to those two, and we're in a binary system still, I want to participate. I want to tell my people, what do we do? Do we go with the quasi-cultural nationalists, or do we go with the the oppressive right-winger Rhino? That question. And I ask you that question. Where do you, or do we just eliminate the whole process? You know what I'm saying? Like, those are our options. Do we choose candidate on the left or the candidate on the right? And who makes more sense for us as a people, because we're struggling with black people in the community? What is our position? That's what I'm asking you. What is our position?
All power to the people. Our position is what the Red Book is telling us to do. To organize ourselves before we even go talk about imperialism or whatever, because both of them, Ross Baraka is a right wing, whatever you call it, Rhino. Both of them are the same. They're no different. I mean, both sides. Like, I don't know how many times I have to say it, but Ross Baraka is no different from any other politician. Ciattarelli, whatever his name is, he ain't no different from any other politician. If we want to change our condition, we must organize together and understand we are all on the plantation and organize to build institutions to serve us. Because if we start organizing together, you no longer need to go win City Hall. You don't need non-Black Panther members in City Hall. If you have non-Black Panther members organized together, providing for the community, you don't need to go to City Hall. The community is going to come to you. The community going to come to us. So, like, there's nothing that can be gained from going down to City Hall to have a conversation or to do anything with them. And this is the alarming part. Who are the people that are telling Raz, you could only have these buildings, these companies, you could only this amount of housing? The only people he should be talking to is the people, not the imperialists. The imperialists are not the one that's doing the work on the ground. These people that he's talking to, these banks, these people that funded his campaign, those are our mortal enemies. And if I was sitting at City Hall as a mayor, I know what's going to happen. The same thing they did to Fred Hampton. The same thing they did to Malcolm. The same thing they did to King. Because like you said, we are bound to have that clash. You're not going to sit in those seats and you're talking about these buildings that they done paid millions of dollars for and they've been keeping for generations. You're about to come take them buildings and build cooperatives for the people. They're going to shoot you before you finish the sentence. And like, that's the reality that I'm living in. I mean, and I understand that. So before we even get to that stage, you got to build up that cadre that say before you reach Africa, you got to get through all of us. You got to get through all of us to get to Africa. And guess what? After you take Africa out, Bernard here. After you take out Bernard, Patience here. After you take out Patience, this person here. You got to kill everybody in the city to be able to stop the movement of the people. That's the kind of fight I want to be part of. Not go down to City Hall and I got to be scared that the FBI going to take a shot at me. I'm going to be giving a speech and somebody going to try to shoot me in my ear. Like, I am not. People act like all these things did not just happen in our lifetime. Like, they did not just try to kill a president in our lifetime. As a sociologist, as a historian, I've read about these things for the last couple of years, and I've seen them. I mean, so like, people try to tell me, Trump paid somebody to shoot him in the ear by mistake. Like, I don't care who you think you are. I am not paying nobody to take a shot at me in my ear. I don't care how good they are. That's how much I value my life. And I think I'm courageous. I don't see nobody standing there saying, yeah, I'm going to go pay somebody to shoot me in the ear. Are you crazy? Nah, man. But this is what people say because they're delusional. They don't want to see what's in front of them. Why do you think he had the inauguration inside? I mean, it's easier to protect himself. And I'm not going down to City Hall to go take anybody's spot. I work for the people every day. If I'm going to die, I'm going to die right here in these streets serving the people. Instead of sitting up in somebody's City Hall with a bunch of old white people, pictures all around me, surrounding me, and I'm talking about the Pledge of Allegiance. And, man, damn that. Hey, Secretary General, you said you had a question?
Yeah, it was more to ask Bernard, how does he, but he kind of answered it because he still believes and participates in electoral politics.
Hey, but hold on. Hey, I wanted to stop him from talking because I knew he was going to answer the question. Hey, he's bad for radio. He answered all the questions before somebody asks him. But go ahead, try to see if you can summarize it up for him.
Summarize what?
The question, like, that was the question, right?
Oh, yeah, like, how do you reconcile voting for Trump, knowing that you agree that this is an imperialistic capitalist system that we are all oppressed under, and Trump, Ross, Biden, Obama, those are all representatives of this imperialist capitalist system. Therefore, they are themselves are imperialists and capitalists. Just like the chairman said, all of them are same. They work for the same government and have the same goals. And none of it is to benefit the people. So you as a supporter, I don't know if you're a Republican or just a Trump supporter, how can you explain to the people why does it make sense for you to stand behind somebody like a Trump as opposed to somebody like a Ross Baraka or Biden or Harris or whatnot? What makes Ross and his type of politicians different from Trump?
You got that? Brother Clark?
I got it. And I appreciate the question. I guess you got to start off with my philosophy first. I know you guys have a philosophy that you have established and you act upon. Well, I also have a philosophy. And, my interest happens to be in the moral law of the people. You know what I'm saying? To me, which has been corrupted by capitalism. Our moral law has been corrupted by capitalism. There was you may not agree with the usage of, weaponized Christianity like I do, because I believe in black liberation ideology. Moses and Jesus were our first revolutionaries. So when I'm struggling with the people on the moral law, Lauryn Hill said it best, how you gonna win when you ain't right within? If your heart is in the right place, that means you're kind. You practice honor. You know what I'm saying? Which means the relationships you build with people are important. Okay, integrity. Truly believing what you preach in all spaces. And then responsibility to your family and your community. I'm raising black children and I'm teaching black children. You know what I'm saying? And so when I'm operating off of that base with that idea in mind, and I'm evaluating the people in leadership, and in control of the government we live in, I watched for the last, and Malcolm said it best when he said, anytime you throw your weight behind a political party that controls 2/3 of the government, and that party, doesn't keep the promises that it made to you during election time, and you're dumb enough to continue to walk around identifying yourself with that party, then you're a chump. You're a traitor to your race. Malcolm was talking about Democrats, and this is in '64, Ballot of the Bullet. So if you're telling me that the Democratic Party, which we have invested in, because the Democratic Party really co-opted black, power, co-opted the black struggle. So we all went into the universities, all these revolutionaries, they ended up in the universities, they ended up in prison, or they ended up a politician, what I'm saying, from wherever they're coming from. So if that is how the struggle capsized and flatlined, and now we're in this, this mysterious phase where, we don't know whether we're coming or going, like, the chairman alluded to earlier. We're at a very limited, infantile stage of development. For me, to navigate the contradictions I face, so that I could be effective in contributing to the diaspora, like I said, the moral law is important. So watching the Democratic Party control the black vote for 50 years and seeing no economic growth within the quote-unquote the favelas. I call myself a favela kid. I live on the block. I'm of the peasants. So it's like watching the conditions of our people never grow, even though we're attaining political power. That contradiction now has produced something different. And that something that is produced is, like I said, my agenda, which I'm focused on, that moral development within our people, getting us right emotionally and spiritually, which is where that fight arose. So, and then I'm interested in political maturity. I don't want us to keep giving our vote to those people because those black Democrats have been so invested in that party. Amiri Baraka taught me that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are two wings on the same vampire bat. So if they're both the same, to tell me that I'm problematic for supporting Trump is a contradiction, especially if you're a Democrat. Like, don't get in my face telling me as a Democrat, which I could argue is far more racist, and that racism has affected black people far greater than anything that the Republicans have done, because we don't vote Republican. And the fact that we've never voted Republican is the problem. That lack of political maturity is what I'm addressing. So the choice to support Trump and that movement as opposed to Democrats was to serve two purposes. One was to establish with the Democratic Party, listen, we're not going to be following you no more blindly. And the only way to establish that is to show the Democratic Party that we're willing to vote in mass for a different party. And, that party just happened to be the other binary party. So it doesn't even matter. It could have been arbitrary. Luckily, it was Trump, because Trump is the outlier. We're talking about the career politician versus the outlier. So the hell with the career politician. I'm going to support the outlier. But guess what? The reason I supported the outlier is because the outlier said, listen, I'm going to give you guys a platinum plan for Black America. Okay, now that makes sense to me. So I want to be transactional. So I'm going to give you my vote, but I want that platinum plan. So guess what? We don't get that platinum plan for Black America, and that's where the focus is. So we could fight for that. Now, if we don't get it from this administration, we're not going to allow them 50 years to keep juggling us back and forth. No, you get 4 years to show me that you're different than what I experienced for 50 years with the Democrats. You don't show me that in 4 years, it's like being in a relationship with a bad person. I got with this woman, and all of a sudden she dogged me out for like 10 years. And then all of a sudden I'm like, listen, I'm going to another relationship. Then you go to the next relationship, and you're not going to give them 10 years to, screw you over. You may get 1 year to show me that you're the same as the people I just left, and then it's game on. Now I have the data, the science to now say, all right, you know what? Both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party under Trump did the exact same thing to us. So now that I see that and the people see that, now we can talk about a different stage of development. Now we can talk about moving into a different reality. So that's all to answer your question. How do I navigate those contradictions? Well, when you're navigating, that's the whole thing. That's the dialectic of it. You know what I'm saying? You're giving some things up to, when that clash happens, a new thing is produced. So I'm clashing right now with the Democrats. I'm clashing right now with black identity extremism. And in that clash, other realities are being produced. So I'm just following the dialectic. You know what I'm saying? And I've been following the dialectic all of my own individual career, and it landed me here. So I hope that answers that question.
All power to the people. But quickly, I heard what you say, and all I got out of it is if Target ain't selling your product, go to Costco.
Well, fundamentally, but at the same time, if you add in what I said earlier about the moral law, ultimately the process, the dialectical push and pull, is creating a more moral product. So if we could come out of this conversation in love, where many people are like, wait a minute, a Panther's getting ready to clash with a quote-unquote Trumplican? We're talking about, extremes. We didn't experience those extremes today.
No, we didn't.
So for me, we had a successful building session, one that is prompting me to come back next week and participate, even if I'm just listening. I'm sold on the process.
Time out.
Read by General Secretary, please.
Oh, that's me. Oh, my bad. Yo, but look, no. When you come here and everybody else that's here, hey, yo, you're not just sitting here. Yo, this is a town hall. We're all speaking, yo. Like, yo, put your hand up and I want you to say something, or like whatever you're thinking. Yo, you're not just here for us to preach to you. So I see somebody got their hand up. General Secretary, do you see them? I don't see no name under it. Anybody got their hand up want to say something?
I don't see no hands. I'm still looking. I don't see any.
All right. Oh, I thought Basil's hand was up. But if anybody want to speak, anybody want to say something, you're more than welcome to speak. I mean, but any other questions?
So just piggybacking off of that point, so the point is, with the success of today's discussion. See, I wouldn't even label it as a debate. Today's discussion let me know I got an ally within the community. I didn't even start yet. I got an ally within the community. I know that now. So we're not diametrically opposed in terms of ideology. So now we can continue building, and I could, I'm working with a group of people too. I got Che, who's a part of this organization. You know what I'm saying? Individuals who are, we're aligned with. This is what coalition building means. It's what Fred Hampton did. We're coming together. We're coming together as a group of radical revolutionaries. Whatever perspective we are coming at the revolution from, I just happen to be on the spiritual side. So I'm like where Moses and the Levites. I'm in the priestly side. So you might see me, in a so I don't know. I'm letting that develop organically. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I'll be a participant in, the Panther podcast, moving forward. So, if you'll hear me and see me next Sunday at 12 o'clock.
All power to the people. Hey, yo, man, if nobody has anything else to say, hey, man, I think this is a powerful show, man. Like that's
I have something to say.
There you go. Where you at? I knew you was
I have something to say.
What's up, Basil? What you got, Basil?
I'm here. listening. I'm telling you, this is what I like. Even though you have opposing ideologies, you can come together and work for the common good. And that's what it's about. You know what I mean? That's what it's about. That's what we need to do. Put all this other stuff aside, come out and work for a goal, and that's feeding our families, as you say, and paying our mortgages, paying our rent. That's what's important. So I'm very happy to hear that. I enjoyed the podcast, though, as always, you know. And again, power to the people.
All power to the people. All power to the people.
All power, all power. Hey, listen, I don't know how long you guys broadcast for, but you know I'm at my end right now. I got some obligations I got to get into. But I love this
Mr. Clark,
presentation.
thank you so much. I just want to say thank you so much for coming on, for participating, and for your continued support and participation. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Hey, thank you for inviting me in the first place. I've been excited all week in preparation for this. Because you know I hear all these rumors about the big bad wolf. You feel me? Africa, you know, ready to, you know, bite my head off, and people warning me. I'm like, the brother's a beautiful brother to me. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I love watching that brother. No matter, like, struggle is beautiful in any capacity. So, you know what I mean? Keep up the good work. Keep pushing. And like I said, you know, I know we got some disagreements, and that's okay. You feel me? It's my duty to, you know, continue to flesh out my ideas and share with you my historical record, you know, so that maybe, you know, as we are continuing to go back and forth in this dialectical process, we'll reach a consensus that both of us can operate from together.
All power to the people. Hey, yo.
All power.
Yo, listen. You got to cop one of these hoodies, bro, to support what we doing out here. We got
send me. All she got to do, one of y'all, send me the link and I'll buy one. And matter of fact, I'll wear it for the next. Podcast next Sunday.
Got you. Hey, yo, Shay Coach, I see you out there too. You ain't saying that. I don't know why you ain't saying nothing, bro. These hoodies, bro.
Che been very instrumental in this and even preparing. You know, helping me prepare for this dialogue. Like, you know, we communicate daily, so you know he definitely involved. But we'll buy a hoodie together.
All power to the people, yo. Till next
all
time.
Power.
Yeah, General Secretary, you know you got to close the door. I don't know how to close this door.
All right, peace and power.
All power to the people.
Quotations from Chairman Mao Zedong, read by General Secretary Patience of the New African Black Panther Party, NAB, PP North. Chapter 3, Socialism and Communism. Communism is at once a complete system of proletarian ideology and a new social system. It is different from any other ideological and social system and is the most complete, progressive, revolutionary, and rational system in human history. The ideological and social system of feudalism has a place only in the Museum of History. The ideological and social system of capitalism has also become a museum piece in one part of the world, in the Soviet Union, while in other countries it resembles a dying person who is sinking fast, like the sun setting beyond the western hills, and will soon be relegated to the museum. The communist ideological and social system alone is full of youth and vitality, sweeping the world with the momentum of an avalanche and the force of a thunderbolt. The socialist system will eventually replace the capitalist system. This is an objective law independent of man's will. However much the reactionaries try to hold back the wheel of history, eventually revolution will take place and will inevitably triumph. We communists never conceal our political views. Definitely and beyond all doubt, our future or maximum program is to carry China forward to socialism and communism. Both the name of our party and our Marxist world outlook unequivocally point to this supreme ideal of the future, a future of incomparable brightness and splendor. Taken as a whole, the Chinese revolutionary movement, led by the Communist Party, embraces two stages, i.e., the democratic and the socialist revolutions, which are two essentially different revolutionary processes. and the second process can be carried through only after the first has been completed. The democratic revolution is the necessary preparation for the socialist revolution, and the socialist revolution is the inevitable sequel to the democratic revolution. The ultimate aim for which all communists strive is to bring about a socialist and communist society. Socialist revolution aims at liberating the productive forces. The changeover from individual to socialist collective ownership in agriculture and handicrafts, and from capitalist to socialist ownership in private industry and commerce, is bound to bring about a tremendous liberation of the productive forces. Thus, the social conditions are being created for a tremendous expansion of industrial and agricultural production. We are now carrying out a revolution not only in the social system to change from private to public ownership, but also in technology, the change from handicraft to large-scale modern machine production, and the two revolutions are interconnected. In agriculture, with conditions as they are in our country, cooperation must precede the use of big machinery. In capitalist countries, agriculture develops in a capitalist way. Therefore, we must on no account regard industry and agriculture, socialist industrialization, and the socialist transformation of agriculture as two separate and isolated things. And on no account must we emphasize the one and play down the other. The new social system has only just been established and requires time for its consolidation. It must not be assumed that the new system can be completely consolidated the moment it is established, for that is impossible. It has to be consolidated systematically. To achieve its ultimate consolidation, it is necessary not only to bring about the socialist industrialization of the country and persevere in the socialist revolution on the economic front, but also to carry on constant and arduous socialist revolutionary struggles and socialist education on the political and ideological fronts. Moreover, various contributory international factors are required. In China, the struggle to consolidate the socialist system, the struggle to decide whether socialism or capitalism will prevail, will take a long historical period. However, we should all realize that the new system of socialism will unquestionably be consolidated. We can assuredly build a socialist state with modern industry, modern agriculture, and modern science and culture. The number of intellectuals who are hostile to our state is very small. They do not like our state, i.e., the dictatorship of the proletariat, and yearn for the old society. Whenever there is an opportunity, they will stir up trouble and attempt to overthrow the Communist Party and restore the old China. As between the proletarian and the bourgeoisie roads, as between the socialist and the capitalist roads, these people stubbornly choose to follow the latter. In fact, this road is impossible, and in fact, therefore, they are ready to capitulate to imperialism, feudalism, and bureaucrat capitalism. Such people are to be found in political circles and in industrial and commercial, cultural and educational, scientific, technological, and religious circles, and they are extremely reactionary. The serious problem is the education of the peasantry. The peasant economy is scattered, and the socialization of agriculture, judging by the Soviet Union's experience, will require a long time and painstaking work. Without socialization of agriculture, there can be no complete consolidated socialism. We must have faith first that the peasant masses are ready to advance step by step along the road of socialism under the leadership of the party. And second, that the party is capable of leading the peasants along this road. These 2 points are the essence of the matter, the main current. The leading bodies in cooperatives must establish the dominant position of the poor peasants and the new lower middle peasants in these bodies, with the old lower middle peasants and the upper middle peasants, whether old or new, as the supplementary force. Only thus can unity between the poor and middle peasants be obtained. Moreover, the cooperatives can also be consolidated, production can be expanded, and the socialist transformation of the entire countryside be correctly accomplished in accordance with the party's policy. Otherwise, unity between the middle and the poor peasants cannot be attained, the cooperatives cannot be consolidated, production cannot be expanded, and the socialist transformation of the entire countryside cannot be achieved. It is essential to unite the middle peasants, and it is wrong not to do so. But on whom must the working class and the Communist Party rely in the countryside in order to unite with the middle peasants and realize the socialist transformation of the entire countryside? Surely on none other than the poor peasants. That was the case when the struggle against the landlords was being waged and the land reform was being carried out. And that is the case today when the struggle against the rich peasants and other capitalist elements is being waged to achieve the socialist transformation of agriculture. In both these revolutionary periods, the middle peasants wavered in the initial stages. It is only after they clearly see the general trend of events and the approaching triumph of the revolution that the middle peasants will come in on the side of the revolution. The poor peasants must work on the middle peasants and win them over, so that the revolution will broaden from day to day until final victory. There is a serious tendency towards capitalism among the well-to-do peasants. This tendency will become rampant if we in the slightest way neglect political work among the peasants during the cooperative movement and for a very long period after. The agricultural cooperative movement has been a severe ideological and political struggle from the very beginning. No cooperative can be established without going through such a struggle. Before a brand new social system can be built on the site of the old, the site must be swept clean. Invariably, remnants of the old ideas reflecting the old system remain in people's minds for a long time, and they do not easily give way. After a cooperative is established, it must go through many more struggles before it can be consolidated. Even then, the moment it relaxes its effort, it may collapse. The spontaneous forces of capitalism have been steadily growing in the countryside in recent years, with new rich peasants springing up everywhere and many well-to-do middle peasants striving to become rich peasants. On the other hand, many poor peasants are still living in poverty for lack of sufficient means of production, with some in debt and others selling or renting out their land. If this tendency goes unchecked, the polarization in the countryside will inevitably be aggravated day by day. Those peasants who lose their land and those who remain in poverty will complain that we are doing nothing to save them from ruin or to help them overcome their difficulties. Nor will the well-to-do middle peasants who are heading in the capitalist direction be pleased with us, for we shall never be able to satisfy their demands unless we intend to take the capitalist road. Can the worker-peasant alliance continue to stand him in these circumstances? Obviously not. There is no solution to this problem except on a new basis, and that means to bring about, step by step, the socialist transformation of the whole of agriculture simultaneously with the gradual realization of the socialist industrialization and the socialist transformation of the handicrafts and capitalist industry and commerce. In other words, it means to carry out cooperation and eliminate the rich peasant economy and the individual economy in the countryside so that all the rural people would become increasingly well off together. We maintain that this is the only way to consolidate the Worker-Peasant Alliance. By overall planning, we mean planning which takes into consideration the interests of 600 million people of our country. In drawing up plans, handling affairs, or thinking over problems, we must proceed from the fact that China has a population of 600 million people, and we must never forget this fact. In addition to the leadership of the party, a decisive factor is our population of 600 million. More people mean a greater ferment of ideas, more enthusiasm, and more energy. Never before have the masses of the people been so inspired, so militant, and so daring as at present. Apart from their other characteristics, the outstanding thing about China's 600 million people is that they are poor and blank. This may seem a bad thing, but in reality it is a good thing. Poverty gives rise to the desire for changes, the desire for action, and the desire for revolution. On a blank sheet of paper free from any mark, the freshest and most beautiful characters can be written. The freshest and most beautiful pictures can be painted. After the countrywide victory of the Chinese Revolution and the solution of the land problem, two basic contradictions will still exist in China. The first is internal, that is, the contradiction between the working class and the bourgeoisie. The second is external, which is the contradiction between China and imperialist countries. Consequently, after the victory of the People's Democratic Revolution, the state power of the People's Republic under the leadership of the working class must not be weakened, but must be strengthened. Don't you want to abolish state power? Yes, we do, but not right now. We cannot do it yet. Why? Because imperialism still exists, domestic reactions still exist, because classes still exist in our country. Our present task is to strengthen the people's state apparatus, mainly the people's army, the people's police, and the people's courts, in order to consolidate national defense and protect the people's interests. Our state is a people's democratic dictatorship led by the working class and based on the Worker-Peasant Alliance. What is this dictatorship for? Its first function is to suppress the reactionary classes and elements and those exploiters in our country who resist the socialist revolution, to suppress those who try to wreck our socialist construction, or in other words, to resolve the internal contradictions between ourselves and the enemy. For instance, to arrest, try, and sentence certain counter-revolutionaries, and to deprive landlords and bureaucrat capitalists of their right to vote and their freedom of speech for a specified period of time. All this comes within the scope of our dictatorship. To maintain public order and safeguard the interests of the people, it is likewise necessary to exercise dictatorship over embezzlers, swindlers, arsonists, murderers, criminal gangs, and other scoundrels who seriously disrupt public order. The second function of this dictatorship is to protect our country from the subversion and possible aggression by external enemies. In that event, it is the task of this dictatorship to resolve the external contradiction between the enemy and us. The aim of this dictatorship is to protect all our people so that they can devote themselves to peaceful labor and build China into a socialist country with a modern industry, agriculture, science, and culture. The People's Democratic Dictatorship needs the leadership of the working class, for it is only the working class that is most far-sighted, most selfless, and most thoroughly revolutionary. The entire history of revolution proves that, without the leadership of the working class, revolution fails, and that with the leadership of the working class, revolution triumphs. The People's Democratic Dictatorship is based on the alliance of the working class, the peasantry, and the urban petty bourgeoisie, and mainly on the alliance of the workers and the peasants, because these two classes comprise 80% of China's population. These two classes are the main force in overthrowing imperialism and the Kuomintang reactionaries. The transition from new democracy to socialism also depends mainly upon their alliance. Class struggle, the struggle for production and scientific experiment are the three great revolutionary movements for building a mighty socialist country. These movements are a sure guarantee that communists will be free from bureaucracy and immune against revisionism and dogmatism, and will forever remain invincible. They are a reliable guarantee that the proletariat will be able to unite with the broad working masses and realize a democratic dictatorship. If, in the absence of these movements, the landlords, rich peasants, counter-revolutionaries, bad elements, and monsters were all allowed to crawl out, while our cadres were to shut their eyes to all this, and in many cases failed even to differentiate between the enemy and ourselves, but were to collaborate with the enemy, and were corrupted, divided, and demoralized by him. If our cadres were thus pulled out, or the enemy were able to sneak in, and if many of our workers, peasants, and intellectuals were left defenseless against both the soft and hard tactics of the enemy, then it would not take long, perhaps only several years or a decade, or several decades at most, before a counter-revolutionary restoration on a national scale inevitably occurred. The Marxist-Leninist Party would undoubtedly become a revisionist party or a fascist party, and the whole of China would change its color. The People's Democratic Dictatorship uses two methods. Towards the enemy, it uses the method of dictatorship. That is, for as long a period of time as is necessary, it does not let them take part in political activities and compels them to obey the law of the people's government and to engage in labor and through labor transform themselves into new men. Towards the people, on the contrary, it uses the method not of compulsion, but of democracy. That is, it must necessarily let them take part in political activities and does not compel them to do this or that, but uses the method of democracy in educating and persuading them. Under the leadership of the Communist Party, the Chinese people are carrying out a vigorous rectification movement in order to bring about the rapid development of socialism in China on a firmer basis. It is a movement for carrying out a nationwide debate which is both guided and free, a debate in the city and the countryside, on such questions as the socialist road versus the capitalist road, the basic system of the state and its major policies, the working style of the party and government functionaries, and the question of the welfare of the people, a debate which is conducted by setting forth facts and reasoning things out, so as correctly to resolve those actual contradictions among the people which demand immediate solution. This is a socialist movement for the self-education and the self-remolding of the people. Most arduous tasks lie ahead of us in the great work of construction. Although there are over 10 million members in our party, they still constitute a very small minority of the country's population. In government departments and public organizations and enterprises, much work has to be done by non-party people. It is impossible to get this work well done unless we are good at relying on the masses and cooperating with non-party people. While continuing to strengthen the unity of the whole party, we must also continue to strengthen the unity of all our nationalities, democratic classes, democratic parties, and people's organizations, and to consolidate and expand the People's Democratic United Front. And we must conscientiously get rid of every unhealthy manifestation in any link in our work that is detrimental to the unity between the party and the people.